Today on Anime Saturday, I take a look at Season 1 of One Punch Man. Let's begin. I'm sorry. I can just not for the life of me keep a straight face when I first hear this song. Anyway, One Punch Man is an action comedy anime that was adapted from a 2009 webcomic created by One, the same guy who made Mob Psycho 100, that got super popular after going viral in Japan and received a manga adaptation 3 years later. It tells the story of Saitama, a guy who trained his ass off to become one of the strongest superheroes in the world, just for fun, mind you, and is at the point where it only takes him one punch to defeat anybody, and he hates it. Now, before I started watching this anime, I was introduced to the character of Saitama in the form of memes, which I wholeheartedly regret. I say that because the memes in question were like one-on-one matchups created by hood anime fans, aka the ones who legit believe that Goku can beat someone like Darkseid in a fight. These memes would find their way on my Facebook feed because of the people that I'm friends with, and they would just get more and more ridiculous as time went on, especially after I found out that One Punch Man is a superhero parody and isn't supposed to be taken seriously. And I became completely uninterested in checking the anime out because of it, which, yes, I know now in retrospect, is a stupid reason not to check out something in order to gain my own opinion on it. Then one Saturday afternoon, I was hanging out with friends, and my friend and podcasting partner Reggie, aka Shadow Akuma from D-Saint Radio, decided to put on the first 2 episodes of One Punch Man. And after watching them, well, let's just say that I insisted we finish off the rest of the season right then and there. And honestly, I'm glad that I did. Despite this being a parody comedy, there are a lot of things that I like about the anime. But at the same time, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have any critiques or strong opinions regarding 1 or 2 things that they decided to do here. Some of you may already have an idea of at least one of the things that I'm talking about, and don't worry, I have every intention on talking about it, so we'll get there. But for now, let's focus on the stuff that makes this anime so great for me, starting with the dynamic between Saitama and Genos. We're introduced to the cyborg Genos in episode 2 when he's fighting a villain appropriately named Mosquito Girl. After seeing Saitama fight and defeat her, like he does, Genos asks to be Saitama's apprentice and he accepts. From then on out, the relationship between the two is pretty much clockwork, and while Genos is interesting in his own right, the way he interprets Saitama's actions over the course of the season makes for an interesting POV from time to time. Sometimes, in retrospect, I wonder how both the dynamic between the show and the two would work if the entire thing was from Genos' point of view. Kinda like how the first series of Russell T Davies' revival of Doctor Who introduced us to the Ninth Doctor through the eyes of Rose Tyler,
Rob.
before switching over to the 10th Doctor's point of view after she left in Series 2.
Rose Tyler.
Because along with there being a lot of stuff involving Genos' past that the show hints will be touched upon in Season 2, there are a lot of strong moments and morals over the course of the season that are made and delivered by Saitama that are driven to the audience better because they were through the point of view of Genos, as opposed to Saitama's own. A great example of this is the selfless decision he makes at the end of episode 9, Unyielding Justice, when he pretty much pulls a Batman from the Dark Knight and purposely degrades his own character to keep the reputation of the other well-known heroes intact. Having us see that moment through the eyes of Genos as opposed to Saitama, then having him realize why he was doing it and not act on it was some strong-ass shit. On the other hand, if we just had the series told from the perspective of Genos, we wouldn't be able to see Saitama's own faults and appreciate his growth. One of the best examples is after that scenario, when Saitama receives a letter that just said, "Thank you," and sits down for dinner with the hero who sent it to him, Moomin Rider, aka the motherfucking GOAT. I love Moomin Rider so much, y'all. The scenario in question was a 2-parter, beginning with episode 8 and ending in 9, and is the second longest arc in the season, the longest being the 3-part season finale consisting of episodes 10 through 12. Which brings me to another thing I like about this show, the way it handles its long-term storytelling. I say that because this was the first anime that I've ever seen that adopted the traditional season format. As an old school anime fan, I usually enjoy miniseries and like 25 to 50 episode anime with a full-fledged plot right out the bat, as opposed to like the story arc model made famous by Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Z. And yes, I know that Dragon Ball Z technically did have seasons, but because of how they were promoted by Toonami, they just never felt that way to me. I especially double felt that with shows like Bleach and Naruto when it came to their use of filler. Combine that with the fact that I was constantly unlucky and accidentally called reruns while waiting for new episodes in the States. Because, due to the way networks advertise new shows, before TV channels realized the internet could be used as a decent info distribution tool, taking a break meant that I may miss said episodes when they did air, resulting in long-running anime quickly becoming my least favorite. But ever since One Punch Man properly introduced me to season breaks for the medium, I gained a great appreciation for this model for long-running anime. Mostly because it allows me to properly digest arcs without being limited to filler and still have a sense of closure while simultaneously anticipating what's coming next. And they weren't afraid to use one-shot stories in this format either, which, being a fan of Cowboy Bebop, I absolutely loved. My favorite in question would have to be episode 3, The Obsessive Scientist, where they introduced my favorite villain in this show to date, Dr. Genos. The way they handle his backstory, took proper time explaining what he did as far as experimenting on animals and everything he did to himself, not to mention why he wanted Saitama in the first place, made me immediately think that because this is an anime based on superheroes, that he was going to be the big bad of at least the first half of the season. Nope. A one and done with one of the most hilarious outcomes to a scenario that I've ever seen. But if I have to talk about all the awesome stuff I appreciate in this show, I have to talk about the obvious stereotype in the room.
S級ヒーロープリプリプリズナーあなたに会いに脱獄成功
So I hate this. Okay, let me do my best to properly phrase this. I have strong feelings about this. And before any of my other fellow queer readers put this in the comments section, no, it's not because the character is flamboyantly gay or a gay femme. We don't tolerate that mask for mask bigotry in the Readus household. I'm just not a fan of how gay characters, specifically gay male characters, are depicted and shown in anime in general, because the fact that they are gay is amplified so it's played up for laughs. I've seen this done in Dragon Ball GT with the gay announcer always hitting on Trunks, done just for the sake of finding humor in Trunks' level of discomfort. And I can't help but see it here with Puri Puri Prisoner with all that he has attached to his heroics. And by that I mean that he's gone to jail because he's constantly grabby with men and is proud of it, and breaks out of prison to either save dudes that he thinks are cute, or capture criminals he thinks are cute enough for his own harem. And my initial reaction to that info about him when it was revealed on screen during his debut was just one word. Why? Because not only did that tell me that the only defining trait about him was that he's gay, which I'll elaborate on my feelings regarding that topic in a minute, but that despite how powerful and how much of an asset that he proves to be in the show in the last few episodes, Puri Puri Prisoner is a vehicle created specifically for comedy that can easily turn toxic. Because not only are 2 out of the 3 things that I previously mentioned about his character highly inappropriate and can get you arrested for sexual harassment and human trafficking, but Puri Puri Prisoner's existence has the possibility of amplifying the already irrational fears homophobic straight men have by over-exaggerating said fears and putting them in the form of a joke character for a popular medium that's aimed at impressionable young boys. On the other hand, That's not to say that this character and the other less than positive example I gave previously are the only way male queer characters are represented in shonen anime. With homosexuality and queer pride in general still pretty taboo in Japan, finding decent male queer representation in shonen manga and anime that isn't Puri Puri Prisoner is a bit hard to come by without subtext, but not impossible. There are, in fact, shonen anime that treat male queer characters as as opposed to caricatures. I've definitely seen one that I plan on talking about later on in this segment. Also, while I haven't seen either of them yet, from what I've heard, both Tiger and Bunny and Gurren Lagann both have femme and flamboyant gay male characters respectively that aren't played up for laughs by an exaggerated representation of irrational homophobia. And then of course there's Tokyo Godfathers. I also have to factor in multiple things, which initially causes me to hold my tongue whenever the topic of Puri Puri Prisoner comes up. 1. While I understand and fear the negative implications he can spawn as far as representing LGBT people in the still popular genre of shonen anime, I don't know the true intention of one when he created Puri Puri Prisoner, so I don't want to slander his name undeservingly. For all that I know, all of this could have been intentionally done by one as a stance to show just how ridiculous these fears are by creating a character that completely embodies it. Not my preferred tactic, but I get it. I felt the same way when I found out about the recent twist about the Titans in Attack on Titan. And 2, my personal queerness is not and should not be the end-all be-all as far as how queer people should be represented in media just because of my personal feelings regarding how this character is handled. I'm absolutely sure that there are plenty of male-identifying queer weebs and otakus out there who saw Puri Puri Prisoner in Season 1 of One Punch Man and just immediately decided to stand the fuck out of him, despite being a character only known for being gay. Also, considering everything Sonic Fox, one of, if not, the best fighting game players in the United States, who is also a black gay furry, has done to help empower queer people to claim ownership of their queer identities, especially since identity and personality go hand in hand when it comes to things like what you stand for, what your morals are, and how you choose to portray and live in those things respectively. I don't want to take that away from anyone because of my feelings. But does this stop me from believing that One Punch Man Season 1 is good and worth watching? Not at all. It helps a lot that I went into this knowing that I'm not supposed to take it seriously, but at the same time, I really appreciate the moments it had with the arcs that had a sense of weight and depth to them. And considering that this was the first newish anime that I've seen in like 3 years, and actually wanted to see more of afterwards, I'm glad that this show and the way that it resolved my issue of watching long-running anime is being adapted in other projects, despite it more than likely not being the pioneer. Right now, you can stream One Punch Man Season 1 on Netflix and Hulu, with the latter exclusively airing Season 2 starting April 9th, 2019. I say that if you have either of those streaming services. Otherwise, if you don't mind paying $2 an episode on YouTube, Amazon Prime, Google, etc., it's still definitely worth checking out. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below what you thought of One Punch Man Season 1 if you've seen it. Anime Saturday is possible thanks to the generous support of fellow readers over on Patreon. So if you want to see more and help financially support the channel, you can join it by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find the links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.